Hi everyone, I'm Daisy Rocha and this is what's happening in Brazil. We'll start by updating you on the latest news from the country. This week, Brazilian police arrested 5 people accused of involvement in a plan to murder President Lula, his vice Geraldo Alckmin, and the most famous judge in the Brazilian High Court, Alexandre de Moraes. The investigations are still ongoing, but it seems more likely by the day that former President Bolsonaro was involved in the plan. The move is a massive setback for the far right, and in particular, he expected an amnesty from Congress that could allow him to dispute the 2026 elections. The G20 Leaders Summit took place in Rio de Janeiro last week. The meeting saw the inclusion of the African Union as a new permanent member. Key topics were sustainable development, climate action, and social inclusion. The highlight was the creation of the Global Alliance Against Hunger and Poverty, proposed by Lula's government, with Argentina being the last one to join in. Notably, the People's Tribunal convicted Israel of genocide in Gaza, but the final G20 declaration addressed the situation without blaming the Israelis. This year, for the first time, November 20 is a national holiday in Brazil, celebrating Black Consciousness Day and Afro-Brazilian culture. The date, approved nationally in 2023, honors Zumbi dos Palmares, the leader of historic slavery resistance, marking his death on the same day but in 1695. This day aims to promote reflection on racial issues and acknowledge the contributions of the Black population to Brazil. The movie I'm Still Here, directed by Walter Salles, premiered in November and has already attracted over 1 million viewers in Brazil. The story is based on real events during the horrors of the Brazilian dictatorship in the early 1970s. It follows Eunice Paiva, who investigates her husband left deputy Rubens' disappearance while maintaining family stability. The film won Best Screenplay at the Venice Film Festival and it is running for the 2025 Oscars. The state of São Paulo seems to be up for sale. This time, Governor Tarcisio de Freitas has promoted the privatization of public schools. In today's story of the week, we will look at the criticism from experts and the student protests against the measure.
Against the auction of schools, and that's how Tarcisio's military police greet us, with tear gas, beating up students, beating up teachers, beating up workers.
At the beginning of November, students gathered outside the stock exchange to protest the auction of 33 state schools in São Paulo. In addition to building the schools, the companies will be responsible for services such as maintenance, cleaning, surveillance, food distribution, and support for students who have difficulties accessing the school facilities independently.
Governor Freitas has deployed the police to repress the students and teachers. We don't think that's the way to deal with it. We took to the streets, and at the last auction, the police attacked me. We believe that these outsourcings, which lead to more outsourcings, end up increasingly eroding education.
The first lot, with 17 schools, was won by Engenform, a partner in the company responsible for managing cemeteries in São Paulo. Egrimat Engenharia e Empreendimentos Ltda, which specializes in road constructions, will build and manage the second lot, which includes 16 schools. The 25-year contract will cost the state of São Paulo over $2 million monthly per company.
Ask the principals of state schools how much they get paid each year. They get paid peanuts to look after schools 365 days a year, 200 school days, 1,800 hours, with 2,000 students, sometimes 100 teachers. And then this group of companies is paid over $2 million, around $7,000 a year for one school. So it is out of touch with reality. Society needs to know that these financial resources are ours.
Empresas internacionais estavam.
International companies are also taking part. It wasn't an international company that won the first lot or the two lots of 33 schools, but it could have happened. And it would mean a transfer of public education money out of the country. This is absurd. Our taxes live in Brazil.
Regarding the so-called administrative services of the schools, teachers argued in a public civil action filed by APOSP in the São Paulo courts that the public notice disregards the principle of democratic management of education, disrespecting the relation between the administration of physical spaces and pedagogical functions.
Nós, estudantes, fomos para as ruas.
We students took to the streets to protest. Those of us who are at school every day, who see the roof fall in, classrooms flooded, no teacher in the classrooms, and watch the dismantling of our education, are outraged. We're not going to stop, because as long as Tarcisio keeps this project and wants to ride over those who understand the school best, that is, students and teachers, we will continue protesting.
In this week's Culture Talk, you will watch an interview with Eliette Paraguaçu, the first quilombola councilwoman in Salvador's history. She highlights the decades-long struggle of women and denounces environmental racism and contamination at Maré Island.
Então, eu sou Eliette.
I am Eliette Paraguaçu, a woman born and raised in a mangrove in Maré Island. I come from the blackest territory in the city of Salvador, from a quilombo area, a fishing territory. Salvador is the blackest city outside Africa, and we are located in Bahia de Todos os Santos, an environmental protection area. It is a territory that has a strong historical link with the arrival of slavery in Brazil. I often say that I'm a woman of the water because I was brought from Africa by the water. I'm in the water. I live on an island, and we can't live without water. Salvador is like Africa because Salvador is like a huge quilombo. But Maré Island has the specificities of a black, fishing, and big quilombo area. I see this territory as a beautiful one, a territory with beautiful people, powerful, with work, artisans, and wonderful traditional cuisine.
É uma resistência.
It is an ancient resistance to be alive in a land where we experience intense environmental racism and the social injustices of the development model that is in place in Salvador, which doesn't see this population as people who deserve rights. For us, it is a setback because only in 2024 did we manage to elect a quilombola shellfish gatherer in Salvador for the first time, knowing that Salvador is a black neighborhood, a black territory, and that it has more than 16,000 quilombolas. I believe that breaking down this barrier is really about building a city of good, living and bringing into Salvador's city council in the coming years people who look like us, who decide on public policies having us in mind, from the black territory that is the city of Salvador. And I have forged my life's journey in the struggle against environmental racism in the Maré Island territory. Why is that? Maré Island is exploited due to oil extraction. I was able to identify the biggest enemy of the people of Salvador, which were the large enterprises that promoted hunger and misery in the territory. Maré Island is the blackest territory in the city of Salvador. It is a quilombola territory with many cases of sickle cell anemia and the highest number of people with albinism. And there weren't public policies aimed at us, not to mention the oil royalties that the city hall received and didn't reinvest.
fato, quanto que a prefeitura recebe de royalties.
To this day, we don't know how much the city hall receives from oil royalties. They refuse to tell the Mare Island population how much they receive. So we started mobilizing, occupying, and talking about the issue of environmental racism. Then we discovered why the territory of Mare has an alarming number of cancer cases, higher than that in the city of Salvador. The family health program dates back to 2009. The family clinic has just been opened. In 2023, an emergency care clinic was inaugurated because of the alarming cases of asthma and cancer. What's happening? The City Hall refuses to discuss it.
A gente, há uns meses, anos, assim, a gente falava de...
A few months ago, years ago, we were talking about a climate crisis. Now we're talking about a climate emergency. Nature has shown signs and signals so obvious that we're seeing what's happening, and society needs to wake up.
Did you like the show? So hit the like button and share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel to receive notifications. We'll see you next week.